Yo guys, it's Slyroh. You already know that today we are back playing some more Raging Loop. And as you can see, we have found the corpses of the old man who cried wolf and Chikamochi Kamoshida. I have no idea why they're dead. I don't know why there was a bunch of screaming. Okay, well I guess the screaming is because they found the bodies, but like why? This was not part of the plan, so I'm interested to see what the explanation is. And then we're gonna go to bed and then someone else is probably gonna die. Like this is nuts. This is crazy. Let's get it. Let's keep going. But Haruaki jumped out the window to now join the others, so now he can be aware of what's going on. And he's probably going to get caught up as to, what was revealed at the feast. Why, what happened? Fusaishi, weren't you in the dorm? I was until now. Bullshit, you're the one who did this, aren't you? Huh? No, I'm not. I just came out of the dorm. I even talked to Chimi-chan. Yeah, it's not Haruaki-san, Takamine-chan. Then who did this? Forget that. We need to treat... There's no point. Don't touch them. You might still make it. They've lost all their blood. Their stomachs are open and their guts are all over. What kind of treatment can bring them back, huh? You know one? Go on, then say it. There was nothing I could say in response. There were 5 of us on the scene. Shemi Serizawa, Takumi Muro, me, as well as Yasunaga Oribe, who was vomiting on a nearby bush, and Rikaku Uematsu, who was watching the remains from a distance. Most were proactive, and I could see why they were here, but Rikaku Uematsu felt a bit out of place. But then I remembered that we were already pretty short-handed. What happened? Who did this, damn it? Look here. She pointed to the old guy's clothes. There were gatherings of fur all over his garment. What? A werewolf? If that was the culprit, then this was the work of the corruption. Was that what she was saying? No. This was completely different from how the others had died. The fur proved little. Let me see the wound. I told you not to touch it. But this is completely different. Quit acting like you know shit. You never find out anything. But if I stop trying to look, we won't understand anything at all. Quit the act, outsider. Takumi-chan, calm down. Shut up, everything went to hell when he got here. If he didn't come here, none of this... Felt like he was about to grab me. I could clearly see the intense emotion whirling in his eyes. I thought I could get him to trust me, but now it was back to square one. Mochi, why? Why? Yasunaga Uribe calmed down a bit and faced the remains of his dear friend. His voice was shaking. The expression on the corpse was eerily pale and emotionless. Even a look of agony was absent. It almost looked like he was smiling. Did his face muscles simply go limp? This isn't the corruption. How do you know? I'll prove it if you let me pass. He glared at me with immense hatred before letting me through. Look away if you can't stomach this kind of thing. I walked up to the old guy's corpse. He looked as distant as always, but the lack of blood flowing in his face simply made his appearance even more creepy. I avoided looking at it while I grabbed his back and rolled him onto it. With a wet sound, entrails spilled from the wound in his stomach. Ugh. Ugh. How horrid. Don't force yourselves, people. Except you, Takumi-san. Look. The stomach was clearly torn apart by a blade. This isn't some supernatural punishment. It was caused by a person wielding a weapon. And since there's no weapon nearby, it means that someone intentionally removed it from the scene. So, Yasumizu has someone who's both armed and capable of an act like this. Please give me the details of what happened during the feast. What led to this? This is completely out of left field. What the heck? With several people here to tell me, I ended up with a decent grasp of how today's feast went. Kinosuke had suggested they choose who to kill by vote. The wolf guy and Shimi ended up with the same amount of votes, resulting in a tiebreaker vote. Both ended up voting for the wolf guy, sentencing him to death. He said he wanted to take care of some things, so he and Chikamochi Kamoshida went out, while the rest stayed where they were. Were they really the only ones who left? Yeah, the feast was still going on at that point. Them leaving was an exception. You expected them to come back and resume the feast. What would you have done then? Wait, did they die to the corruption because they left while the feast was still happening? Is that what it is? Like, they're not allowed to leave until the feast is over? And the hanging is, like, you know, completed? Maybe it's just that. That isn't something we can tell an outsider. Alright, but anyway, they didn't come back. How long did you wait for them? No more than an hour. We started to worry and went out to search. Found them in less than 10 minutes. So the culprit was one of those not present. Chemi, Takumi-san, Yasunaga-kun, and Rikaku Uematsu. The 5 in the hall, Satoshi, Kaori-san, Meiko, Haru-chan, and Tai-san simply couldn't be responsible. So someone killed the 2, changed into some clean clothing, and came back to pretend to keep searching? That's impossible. Did you see each other while searching? No, we split up to cover more ground. Let's return to the hall. I know he says it's not the corruption, but I actually think it might be. We then went to the hall. Kinosuke kept watching, confirmed that no one besides the victims and the search party had left the building. That limited the potential murderers to the search party and I. I asserted that I was still in the room when it all happened, and they believed me for now. Though Takumi-san continued to suspect that I used some sort of trick to escape and commit the murders. Well, that was fair, considering everyone else was with them, but I knew I wasn't the culprit. That left only one possibility. They died right after they left the hall. Then someone removed the weapon. And you're still the only one who could have done it. I'm telling you, I heard him in his room. I'll say it as much as I have to. I'm innocent, and since I am, something else had to be responsible for their deaths. I see you're avoiding using the word murder. You notice? I am. As it stands, this could be a suicide, death by illness or poison, followed by desecration of the corpses and removal of the weapon. How would doing something like that benefit us? If you ask me, things become much simpler if we assume you and Serizawa are partners in crime, don't you think? I don't know, but doing that wouldn't benefit me either. Really, tell me. Is there any proof you didn't know each other before this? Huh? We didn't, obviously, but what does that have to do with anything? The people here believe in eerie legend. You could have come here to take advantage of that and pretend to be monsters to murder them for your enjoyment. Please stop. There are some lines you shouldn't cross. Stop this, all of you. Tai Yamawaki-san walked out of the hall. I could see Haru Makishima, Meiko, and Kaori Oribe behind her. That made a total of 10 survivors, 9 if you excluded me, who hadn't participated in the feast. Whoever killed Shikimochi and the Elder, they went against the laws. Shinai-sama will subject them to the corruption. She put her hands together in prayer and faced the peak of Mount Shinai at the opposite side of Saranaga. Strangely enough, that was enough for everyone to fall silent. Rikaku Uematsu joined in, and Meiko copied her. This was the settlement's way of solving things. They gave up on discourse and just left it all in the hands of a higher power. Bachan, what do we do now? One has already spilled blood for the day. The Elder has died. Let's end the feast for the day and clean up. Alright, Yasunaga, help out. You just sit still. The situation was only getting worse. Oh boy, soon after that it was time to shelter, so everyone retreated to their houses. Takumi-san had entered my room and boarded my window completely shut. Fair enough. If you're not the culprit, something's going to happen even if you're locked in. His words were harsh, but there was a hint of composure. He might have actually believed that I wasn't the one who did it, or maybe he found peace in the idea that the mountain would punish the culprit. Or perhaps he just believed it was the work of something supernatural. Whatever the case, he was dwelling less and less on the matter. Was the wolf guy a wolf? I had no idea whether that was plausible. Assuming he wasn't, 2 of the remaining 9 were wolves, with Kyonosuke being a confirmed human, Takumi-san being the snake, and Meiko being a monkey. There were a whole 6 suspects. Thanks to my advice, Jimmy suggested the monkeys reveal themselves, and they turned out to be Chikimochi, Kamochido, and Meiko. Though Mochi had just died, that was a heavy blow. Him being a confirmed non-wolf was one reason, but more than that, he was one of the few people here who actually talked to me without restraint. He was somewhat of an oddity compared to the rest of the people here, but I did find him to be a fun guy. I'd like to get back at whatever injustice had stolen his life. Clearing my head, I resumed thinking. Since she was acting suspicious today, Takumi-san would investigate Haru-chan. Tomorrow we'd have only 5 suspects. That'd give them decent chances of picking out the 2 wolves. It seemed to me like it wouldn't be that hard to find the murderers, who would surely be shaken by what they had done. And then the outed wolf, not wanting to die alone, would reveal the partner. That was the most optimistic way to look at it. From a pessimistic standpoint, though, the situation was absolutely terrible. 4 people had died today. In a normal feast of the Yomi Purge, it had to be 1 per day, 1 per night. This was double that. If things hadn't gone so well in the forest, even Haru Makishima might have died, not to mention the dreadful state Kaori Oribe was in. I was told the relationship had gotten worse. Kaori-san was in no state to prepare food, so it was likely that no one had eaten anything today. The hunger would only worsen everyone's morale. It was best for them to prioritize getting a proper meal tomorrow. Even so, there was no guarantee we wouldn't get any more irregular deaths. For example, someone at their wit's end could attack a wolf suspect despite the threat of the corruption. If they ended up losing more humans while the number of wolves stayed the same, the humans would be done for either tomorrow or the day after. Escape. I've been entertaining the idea ever since launch. The path was ruined, and I'd have to travel through an undeveloped grove, but I hadn't run into anything supernatural there while searching for Haru-chan. Maybe I could get out as long as I watched where I was going? I saw Saranaga as another option. Everyone here hated it, but that just made it less likely for me to be caught. Going down a misty, rocky cliff was dangerous, but at least it was a one-way road. I just had to be careful I didn't get taken by the currents, and it was definitely better than just staying here and dying. However, perhaps even suggesting that was dangerous. According to Rikaku Uematsu, the effects of the corruption were limited to the one who broke the laws, so you could escape them by killing yourself. However, if someone said they wanted to escape the village, the punishment would likely go to both the one attempting it as well as the ones who allowed it. The escape would surely become a hell of an experience then. However, there was an optimistic view of this situation. Something was actually here. Something abnormal was here in Yasumizu, killing and menacing the people using abnormal methods. At the very least, Yoshisuke Oribe, who'd went to face it, suffered a horrible death. The superstitions weren't baseless, and it was best to look at the situation from that angle. My plan of escape contradicted that. But then, how could I prepare for whatever was to come? The best I can think of was trying to familiarize myself with Fujiyoshi's superstitions. Perhaps I could find some sort of weak point or hint that could lead me to their identity. 5. Prepare for the feast when the evening mists arrive. Okay, prepare for the feast when the evening mists arrive, yep. The action rhyme they did was obviously referring to the Feast of the Yomi Purge. I couldn't remember all the lyrics, but I felt like there were quite a lot of info in there. Perhaps there were more hints for the feast in Yasumizu's culture and general area. I thought I had to talk to Rikaku Uematsu. She was an adult who seemed more involved in Fujiyoshi's prayers and stuff than most. I needed to arm myself with more info by tomorrow morning. That, along with the proper progression of the feast, were my only ways to survive. About today's feast. They must have decided to hang the wolf guy because they just didn't care about him all that much. Simple as that. Sure, it was important to get rid of the participants who were cooperative. However, the fact that we'd lost 6 people, but they still hadn't gone beyond he or she is kind of shady, was pretty bad. Yesterday, they wouldn't have hung anyone for such a petty reason. Well, the problem was that they hadn't hung anyone at all so far, but then again, it wouldn't be a good thing to give the impression it was okay to kill people just for seeming shady. This place was regressing back to a feudal, superstitious mental state. If there was something that could stop them from sinking there, it would be an outsider like me. I steeled my resolve and waited for the night to pass. Good evening. Oh my gosh, stop using that scary music. Chimmy is like the worst jump scare of all time, I swear. Ah! I was so startled by the voice on the other side of the door that I momentarily screamed. What time was it? 7? It was too early for an attack and too late to walk around. What's wrong with you? Aren't you going to get punished if you don't sleep? I think another hour is fine. I was awake until 8 yesterday and nothing happened. I've been sleeping too much, honestly. I'm not tired, but I'm really, really hungry. Don't you have your food stocks? With Kari-san being, well, you know, I decided not to touch it. Might share it with the others. We're all hungry today, so I'll just tough it out. How outstanding. You should eat, though. What, the stuff from before? Nah, I pass. Why are you here anyway? I can't sleep. Is that really it? Haruhi-san, do you suspect me? No. Why? Because you told them about the monkeys, knowing full well what it meant. The Feast of the Yomi Purge is a well-constructed communication game. Well-constructed? I mean that there's no way to win the game beyond communication. Shikamochi-kun thought the same thing. To win, both the humans and wolves need to have some tricks and individual strategies. Consider the monkeys. They seem useless at first, but you can use them to easily eliminate 2 suspects. And this is possible from day 1, so they can become reliable leaders. Though, that'd be hard for Mochi and Mako. Yeah, he was a free spirit and she's a child. The wolves, on the other hand, have to go on the defensive. In a situation where being suspicious is enough to get yourself hanged, it's important not to draw attention to yourself. That's easier said than done, though. Yeah, keeping your silence can be just as suspicious as being a blabbermouth. Exactly, but there are 2 factors that make it easy to gauge trustworthiness right from the start. Do they have something to do with the monkeys? Yeah, you have to watch out for those who give bad advice or don't provide useful suggestions. A good example of the former is Kiyonosuke-san. His poor planning threw everything into disarray, and that makes him really suspicious. But he's confirmed to be a human. Right, well, that's assuming Takumi-san wasn't lying about being the snake. Huh? You're saying he could be lying? It's not impossible. After all, anyone can say that they have a guardian. Honestly, if I were a wolf, I'd lay low until I killed a few and then claim to have a guardian to ensure my safety. I see, but Takumi Nichan came out on the first day. Yeah, that was basically suicidal, but since that allows the spider to protect him, it's like a telling blow that hurt the attacker, I think. Anyway, all things considered, I'd say it's safe to trust Takumi-san and Kiyonosuke-shi. Personally, I think you're trustworthy too, since you spoke up about the monkeys. What if I only did it because I saw your game? Oh, that'd be bad. Wait, hold on, aren't you basically saying you suspected me until I spoke up about the monkeys? Oh, you noticed. This goddamn guy, what the hell, man? I did it because I wanted to believe you. Alright, I forgive you then. Woohoo. So, who's the most suspicious one? Haru-chan. Thought so. She's not making much sense lately, and you can explain her shift in personality by assuming it's because she killed her granddad. Or maybe she couldn't agree with the other wolf on their decision to kill Kanzoshi and stop trusting anyone. Oh, that makes sense. You can make up 1,000 reasons like this, though. We couldn't go by just that. They said Haru hadn't gathered many votes, but they treated her like some kind of pariah, making it clear that everyone suspected her. It was only natural to use the snake to check on her. Though she doesn't seem all that good at games and stuff, it probably wasn't fair to judge her purely on not making any useful contributions. In that regard, Yasukun is way more suspicious. Huh? But he did say a lot, like pointing out my math was incorrect. And he did say something like what you just said, not doing anything indirectly helps the wolves or something like that. Not to mention that on the first day, he suggested that the spider should hide. That's true. Though most of the things were minor, he was definitely contributing to the game. The first day was especially important. For the wolves, it was best to create a flow where they could just stay quiet and wait for those with guardians to out themselves. What bothered me was the fact that he wasn't the one who brought up the leader selection and the monkey thing. He was shady because he had made those useful propositions. I thought he figured those things out a while ago, or maybe I, as an outsider, just had a better grasp of the situation? I guess he's an innocent then. I don't know about the rest though. I can't even imagine what Rikaku Uematsu-san and Tai-san are thinking. I know what you mean. But if you looked at the circumstances outside the feast, Rikaku Uematsu was pretty shady. Oh my gosh, that's so scary. Oh my gosh, I got like a ring at my doorbell and it was like the scariest thing ever. Anyway, back to the game. But if you look at the circumstances outside the feast, Rikaku Uematsu was pretty shady. It always felt like she was hinting at something. It wouldn't have surprised me if she knew more than she let on. If she was a village head, she could know things only those from Kamifuji Joshi knew. There were more than enough reasons to suspect her. If only we could follow that lead and solve this whole thing, it'd make things way easier. Haraki-san, are you enjoying this? No, but you look like the type who likes mystery stories. I won't deny that, but I can't really enjoy myself when people I care about are in danger. Do you care about these people? If I did act like some master detective, I'd really just be some useless amateur. It wouldn't accomplish anything. I'm not sure I buy that. What do you mean? Everyone else is a mess. I think most normal people would lose it in this kind of situation. I could say the same about you. I'm not exactly normal either. Oh yeah? I heard that you almost killed someone. Who told you that? That's a secret. Though it didn't sound intentional. Well, how do I say it? I think it happened in middle school. I grabbed a bat and beat up some students who were bullying the Yasumizu kids. Whoa. Some of them were connected to the head family, so it became a big deal. That's basically why the adults here are so harsh on me. I see, so you fight out of a sense of justice. So she was sent to Yasumizu for making enemies out of the village heads. I wouldn't say that. It's more like I just have a short temper and wanted to make a scene. Rebellious phase? More or less. Same as Haruchan and Yoshikun. In a place as rural as this, it's rare for children to grow up as level-headed as Yasukun, don't you think? Really? I think they'd be healthier and nicer than the edgy brats from the city. Let me rephrase that. In a place as poor as this. Well, there was no doubt that Yasumizu was destitute. There were no cars, cell phones, and it didn't even feel like it had an economy. They probably lived mostly off the land, making money from whatever they could spare from the farms and huts and hunts. Since they had no decent way to sell stuff to anyone outside, most of the business had to be done through Kami Fujiyoshi. It was entirely lucky they were ripping them off. No way this place could be wealthy in these circumstances. I didn't believe that money could buy everything, but poverty took its toll on the people suffering it. Some could live in poverty while retaining their purity, but that was borderline saintly. It was a lifestyle too difficult for the common masses. Also, since the people of Yasumizu were ostracized from Kami Fujiyoshi, they were targets of an unjust pressure from day one. I could understand why the children here strayed from the path. Though when you looked at it like that, the way they strayed was so mild it was almost cute. Are you disturbed now? Not really. You're lying. You think I'm so blunt, I'd whip out a blunt object to beat you up. I'm just going to ignore that poor attempt at a pun, sorry. My ex wasn't any different. Oh, I see. You seem confused and I have no idea why. You weren't lying when you said you broke up with your girlfriend? You thought I was? I thought it was just some kind of pickup line. That's just mean. Our breakup was insane. I actually felt like my life was in danger. Whoa, sorry to hear that. What about you? Huh? Your history with guys. I shared mine, so hearing some of yours is only fair, right? Yeah, well, how many did you go out with? 2, I guess? What happened to you being a hyper slut who's done it with 53 guys? I never said that. I did exaggerate a bit. But I did get tons of invitations. And yet you only went out with 2. Well, I didn't find many guys I got along with. What about me? Let's not go any further. If I let myself get too attached, I'd be too scared of dying. Being afraid of death is normal, though, isn't it? Not really. Why? God is way scarier than death. I feel like you have a very unusual image of God. Really? You think of it as something frightening that you might actually meet, right? Everyone has met God. Maybe they just can't see it. And God really is scary. It's just that no one knows how. Myself included? You're the only one I don't understand. That's probably why I'm afraid of losing you. That's something you say to those you promise your eternal love to. Are you mad? A bit. I see. We've gotten this far and you're still being cagey regarding your own background. You can only take playing hard to get so far until it gets annoying. Just a reminder, we've known this girl for, I think, 2 days? 2 or 3 days. We apparently had this really big breakup literally right before coming here, but Haruki does not really seem to be all that bent out of shape about it. I swear, the protagonist of the game is like actually probably one of the most annoying characters that exists. He's like, I've known you for so long, all these 2 days, and you can't tell me every little thing about you, and you won't go out with me, even though I just broke up with my girlfriend and told you that. And I'm showing how easily it is for me to emotionally move on from one person to the next, meaning that I could do the exact same thing to you easily. A lot of red flags. Anyway, I'm just not sure what to do. This isn't easy for me either. Just tell me everything. I'm going back. Jimmy, good night. What the hell? Why didn't she talk? Did she still not trust me? Was she messing with me? Was she just kind of crazy? Or was it something else? Crap, I wanted to chase her down and get a real answer out of her, but I was locked in. This was so frustrating. Though this wasn't the time to worry about that. Who would the wolves go for tonight? The wolf guy was dead, meaning there was one less person who'd vote Shammy out tomorrow. It wasn't likely she'd get top vote. It was best to think that the wolves would go for someone who was useful to the humans and couldn't be killed with the votes. That meant that she and Yasunaga-kun were the ones at highest risk. Mako is also at risk because she's a human. She is not, well, she's not going to contribute any useful information, but also Uematsu mentioned being willing to die if Mako died. So if they kill Mako and Uematsu is not a wolf, then she might just off herself anyway. So that could be an extra body for the wolves. But we'll see. On the other hand, the survival would make things difficult in other ways. I'd probably be forced to consider the possibility that they themselves were wolves. Could I really trust Jimmy? I felt I could, but not completely. Whatever the case, a situation where the more talkative ones were seen as suspicious would make it harder for her to survive. Should I have talked to her about running away? No, that was probably pointless. I didn't know much about her whole god thing, but it was clear that escape wasn't even an option for her. Something scary that everyone had met, yet not fully perceivable. Was she speaking figuratively, or could she literally see something? Shit, I don't care. I became irritated. My hunger was starting to get to me. Figuring it was better than just wasting my mental energy, I focused on taking a bath and going to bed. I had no idea just how naive my predictions would prove to be. Oh? Oh boy, what do we have? What do we have? Alright, let's get it. I'm at least going to the reveal. I woke up at 5 in the morning. The window was still boarded up, so I couldn't see anything outside. All I could do was sit around and wait. Eventually, I could hear the objects keep me and get removed, and I was greeted by Yasunaga Oribe and Chimi Serizawa. Those two actually survived. I met up with Haru Makishima too. Her face was pale, and she had bags under her eyes. No one here looked healthy anymore, but she was beyond even that point. She'd gone completely meek too. The defiance from yesterday was gone, and she was just letting Yasunaga-kun guide her. She'd lost another friend after all. We arrived at the dining hall, but found no one there. The door was unlocked. That was a bad sign. It was Kanzo Makishima's place all over again. Mom should be sleeping upstairs. With that knowledge, I opened the door. What if she was attacked? Even if she wasn't, considering her state yesterday, it wasn't unlikely she did something unthinkable, such as suicide. However, I soon thought my worries were for nothing. Kairi-san was standing all alone in the dark dining hall wearing an apron. The fact that she wasn't doing anything but standing was just eerie. Oh my, good morning. She turned around and greeted us. Her voice was the only thing calm about her. Her eyes were bloodshot and signs of malnourishment were all across her face. Her faint, forced smile made her seem on the verge of collapse. She completely failed at acting normal. Her heart was probably swirling with panic and sorrow as great as yesterday. Everyone here could see it. Mom, everyone's hungry. I'll make food, so you just rest. Huh? But I can do it myself. Oh, I'll help. I actually cook for myself, so I know what to do. After they volunteered to support Kaori-san, I thought about what purpose I could serve here. Let's go. And called to Haru-chan before going outside. She came with me, but wasn't saying a word. During yesterday's feast, she'd had a fight with Kaori-san. The woman had voted for Haru-chan due to the change in her attitude and failed escape attempt, and I couldn't blame her for that. Considering her personality, I imagine that the exchange had been extremely intense. That was why getting her out of the dining hall was a good move. Problem was, we didn't really have anything to talk about. This was made worse by the hostility she'd shown me until just recently. According to Mochi, that was a product of her affection toward Yasunaga-kun and all the drama surrounding him. Normally, I'd playfully give her a hard time about that kind of thing, but it seemed in poor taste considering the situation. She was staring daggers at me. Maybe I just had to ask her. Haru Makishima-san. What? I'll be frank, are you a wolf? No. She didn't hesitate at all. Not like that meant anything. You don't believe me? Then Takumi will check. That'll show you. Are you saying that despite knowing? Huh? Knowing what? If he were alive, he'd be the one looking after Kaori-san in the dining hall. Yesterday, he went there first thing in the morning, with Kaori-san in her current state. That was all the more reason for him to be there. But now he's missing. No way, that's just... We'll go check to be sure. Lead this way. Okay. Taiba, are you awake? Haru knocked on the door and tried to open it, but it was locked, meaning it wasn't touched. Tai-san came out sooner than later. She looked pretty displeased to begin with, but upon seeing me, she displayed outright disgust. What are you doing here? Sorry, Kaori-san isn't well and we need more people. Where's Takumi? We're going to check on him. I see. Her gloomy expression told me she'd realized what might have happened. Interesting, even though he was supposed to be protected by the spider. Maybe the spider was killed, maybe the old man was the spider. But interesting that the wolves would try to go for this. You know, just hoping that the spider was killed. Or hoping that the spider would change targets or something. It's interesting. She said she had to prepare, so we excused ourselves. Please ask if you need anything. Oh, yes, of course. She shut the door on us. You're not a woman, aren't you? What the hell was she saying? Being considerate of elders and women is a gentlemanly thing to do. Is that how you feel about Shiene? I like her quite a lot. Please don't. I feel so bad for Nichan. Nichan, Yasunaga-kun, surely. What do you mean by that? Yoshikun and Mochi are gone. Kaori-san and Shiene are all he has left. Also, she's the strongest among us, and she's always protected us from the people of Kamifuji and adults. Don't take her away from us. So that's how it was. I wasn't sure how she actually felt about Chimi, but there was definitely more trust and reliance than I'd expected. Yasunaga-kun spoke like he'd given up on Chimi, but deep down, he was actually glad she had returned. Haru-chan was aware of that, and she actually liked Chimi. That was why she concluded that they should be together. However, it was clear that she didn't feel like giving them her blessing. I understand how you feel. The end result depended on Chimi, and since she hated Yasumizu, I felt like it wouldn't be something Haru-chan wanted. Then again, I really didn't know what was going on in Chimi's head either, and I had no idea who'd survive, so making predictions was a waste of time. For now, everyone should focus on ending the feast. I don't think I can do much, but if there's something you don't want to tell your own, I'm willing to listen. Huh? What do you mean? Nothing much, it just feels like you have a lot to worry about. And personally, I still think that escaping outside is a good idea. That's not possible. Didn't you try it yourself? But I failed, didn't I? That made me realize we can't escape. Isn't that because you just happened to hurt your foot? It didn't just happen. Oh, do you believe in God too? What'd you just say? Oh gosh, that was scary. God doesn't exist. If I doubted that, I just, couldn't cope with anything. There was a weird aura around her for a sec, but then she walked away, leaving me no choice but to follow her? That was weird. We arrived at the houses, the mysterious girl who was on the verge of crying. Good morning, what's wrong? Speak normally, you know how to, right? Come on, be more mature, repeat after me, good morning. This was hopeless. Haru-chan glared at her while I stayed patient. Where's Rikako-san? Arnie-chan? Yeah, where is she? She hasn't come out. Her house is right here. It really was. I'd been here yesterday. I knocked and called out to her. There was no response. Haru-chan looked at each other and tried opening the door. Huh? It was locked. Rikako-san? Still no response. I hesitantly put my ear against the door. I heard some sort of rustling sound. She's probably getting dressed. Then he really did. We don't know for sure. It could still be Kinosuke-shi. What about me? Well, I did expect him to live. Is Rikako-san well? She's all you care about, isn't she? And yes, she does seem alright. She's not out yet, though. I wonder what's up. I had a bad feeling about something. Good to see it was nothing. Does this mean that the one to die was Lady Yamawaki? Taiba was alive. What? Why is he so positive? Haru-chan, take Maiko to the dining hall. Kinosuke-san, help me out. He tried to say something, but decided against it. He must have realized what had happened to the one who'd usually be given these annoying jobs. As expected, the door to his house was unlocked, and the reek of flesh blood was so strong you could smell it outside. I thought that was enough to help me prepare, but once I saw the source, I couldn't keep down what few contents my stomach had left. Two from the first day, Kazumaki Shima and Yoshiguchi Oribe. They'd lost all semblance of form to the point their corpses felt unrealistic. On the other hand, Chikamochi Kamashita and the old wolf guy's corpses were far too clean. Their faces were still intact after all. However, Takumi Muro-san's corpse was an even balance between ruined and intact. It was spread out on the floor, surrounded by splashes and splotches of blood, as well as some bloody footprints. Scattered brain, gray matter, bone fragments, eyes. About 60% of his face was gone. This time, the method was clear. There was a rifle lying right next to his corpse. The weapon was actually on the scene for once, and it was a gun. What did it mean? Did he kill himself? I wanted to think about that, but I was too shaken by the clear agony Takumi-san's death had brought him. You could see his suffering on the still present half of his face. His hands were on his head too, as if to cover his face or reach for the clearly fatal wound. He died while holding onto a shattered brain. Okay, so maybe he didn't. Though fatal, the first attack hadn't killed him instantly. He could still move after it, which was a testament to his strength and willpower. His life had ended as he suffered overwhelming despair. It was written all too clearly on his death visage. My emotions bubbled and overwhelmed my thoughts, and I vomited once again. Are you okay? Kinosuke asked, clearly avoiding looking at himself. Bring me someone who can use guns, please. I never expected you to come along. Her expression was too stern and serious for me to even say that. Takumi Nichan, shit. She cursed and looked at the gun. This is Kanzo Jishen's rifle. She grasped it its long body and picked it up. All the 5 bullets were fired. See any empty cartridges? I'll look around. I found them real quick. They were covered in blood and flesh, but yeah, I found the metallic cylinders, 5 of them. They were 2 meters away from the corpse, very close to one another. Either the culprit fired from there or gathered them afterwards. Look at the handle. Chame extended the rifle to me. I did as told. Compared to the rest of the gun, which had blood on every part, the handle was clean, like it had been wiped. They removed the fingerprints? Probably. Chame then held it like she was about to shoot and aimed at Takumi-san's body. It was fired from here. How can you tell? The way the blood scattered. See how it's concentrated around there? It's proof the culprit fired from a low angle. Also, normal rifles can't make such a huge mess unless they're fired from really close. But make a point blank and the stuff would get on and around the muzzle. The rifle would be even dirtier. And that was why it was natural to think it had been fired from where she was standing, near the cartridges. Can you actually aim and hit something with this? As long as you know how to aim and the target isn't moving, that's all you need. So this was done by someone who knows how to use guns. By the way, it's just a matter of looking at the bead through the sight. Guns are useful little toys that make murder so easy anyone can do it. What about loading? That doesn't seem something a layman can do, is it? Good point, but even Tai Bachan has experience firing a gun. Finding the culprit in Yasumizu won't be easy. This was a settlement where the people went hunting. Basically everyone here must have touched rifles before. All I could really assume was that Meiko-chan couldn't have done this. And, I mean, she's already the monkey anyway. And it's not like every bullet hit the head. One grazed the ear, one hit the chest, one hit the shoulder. Oh, look, they're here, a bullet hole. She pointed at a small part in the floor that was ruined. So only one hit the head. Yeah, I think that one wasn't fatal, though. It was probably the one in the chest that ended it. She looked at the body's pose and made the same conclusion as me. Why do you know so much about guns anyway? I have a hunting license. I know how to use guns, traps, and nets. I used to do lots of skeet shooting outside of Yasumizu. I'm pretty good with a gun. Well, damn, didn't expect that. I can understand why. Did you plan to return here and become a hunter? I just wanted to have a gun, that's it. She said that as if it was no big deal. Her tone seemed kind of dangerous. Yes, so much so that she almost killed someone. I think it happened in middle school. I grabbed a bat and beat up some students who were bullying the Honest Music kids. It was the impression you get from a girl capable of random acts of violence. I was probably jumping to conclusions, though. Can we clean it up now? If you're fine with it. Let's do it then. Did you find out anything? I'm now 100% certain that these murders were committed by people. The culprit used a gun and wiped off the fingerprints. Acts had demonstrated a very human level of cunning. If we were up against something supernatural, they just used their mysterious powers instead. If something mysterious can be explained using mundane means, then it was caused by mundane means. That was a general rule I live by, proven through both knowledge and first-hand experience. Supernatural powers that required carrying out occult rituals were prime examples of things it applied to. The more detailed the preparation required, the more opportunities to notice something amiss. If the trick relied on concealing the method, it was safe to assume the method was something mundane. Even this death wasn't caused by some kind of supernatural force. It just happened unobserved. We had people who could do it, and the methods that fit. That was the best way to look at it, right? Maybe you're right. You agree? I do think that was done by people I know, by actual humans. But that didn't that go against her whole God story? I wanted to ask that, but seeing her eyes made me fall silent. Her eyes were wide and cloudy, but her lips let out clear words. No one... I looked away. I probably wanted to cover my ears too. No one can escape God. I think this is a good place to end this off. We've got our next victim, or our most recent victim. I don't exactly understand how he wasn't protected, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. But yeah, we got ourselves a crazy turn of events, and things are just going to keep getting crazier. I can't wait. I'm very interested to see when we get to an end of a time loop and then see if we start like repeating the same stuff or if it's just like the feast. I don't really know, and I'm interested to see. I'm just really interested to see how this game evolves moving forward. Either way, hopefully you are enjoying and looking forward to more. If so, let me know, but I will see you all in the next time. So till then, peace out.